Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's the last venue for the longest season in F1 history. Interlagos is jumping, a capacity crowd hoping to cheer a local hero to victory. Hello there, Rubens Barrichello has lived here for 20 years. He was born just around the corner from this challenging circuit. Barrichello was expected to emulate the achievements of the great Ayrton Senna, but the burden of winning his home Grand Prix has always been too much. He's retired 10 times in 11 starts. In qualifying, though, the signs are very encouraging for him, but not his Ferrari teammate. Michael Schumacher's build-up is ruined when he loses it over the notorious bumps at turn 6 late in the second practice session. The world champion usually preserves the car in this sort of situation, not this time though. That's 170 mile an hour impact. Flames round the Ferrari confirm a switch to the spare car is inevitable, and that means a 10-place demotion down the grid. In qualifying proper, Jenson Button has a moment in the tricky second sector, and it hurts him. Button staying in that BAR next season. He won't be moving to Williams. He's in shape, though, to aim for his 11th podium this year. It could be David Coulthard's F1 farewell. It's his last race for McLaren. He never recovers from a dodgy start. DC's affected by that changeable track. He starts a lowly 12th. But teammate Raikkonen looks feisty. Briefly declared the winner after last year's chaotic and truncated race at Interlagos, Raikkonen fancies his chances from the second row. Juan Pablo Montoya always goes well here. It's as close as it gets to a home race for the Colombian. He's determined to end a difficult season and depart Williams on a high, and that's a rare front row for him. Barrichello last to run. He's quickest through the first two sectors and blasts up the hill. Barrichello saying his legs turn to jelly when he realizes he is on pole. It's the 13th of his career. He'll hope for better luck than last year when his Ferrari ran out of petrol. So we have an all-South American front row. The Finn Raikkonen next to Massa. A fine effort that from the young Brazilian in the Sauber. Button 5th. 5 different manufacturers in that top 5. Sato poised to charge. Ralf Schumacher's Williams farewell. Alonso, he had that massive crash here last year. Trulli in the Toyota. Fisichella, last year's winner in the Jordan, winding up his stay at Sauber. Webber, it's Jaguar's last F1 appearance, sadly. Then Coulthard still hoping for a drive next year. Villeneuve struggling for fitness. Zonta, the last Brazilian on the grid. Michael Schumacher, he starts 18th ahead of the Minardis. Enjoy it. It's your last taste of Formula One action till the spring. It's the best of the Brazilian Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Here we go then, 5 lights on. When they go off, we'll be racing in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Great start by Barrichello. Montoya goes defensive, but it's too late. Raikkonen's through, and so is Felipe Massa. And the two BARs have not had a terrific start. It looks like one of them has dived in front, but no doubt who the leader is on home soil. It's Rubens Barrichello. Everyone's slithering and sliding. And just look at Raikkonen, side by side with Barrichello, down the back straight. Has he got the momentum? He's certainly got the inside line into the late descent corner. And Raikkonen takes the lead. Dramatic start.
Raikkonen's got so much grip and confidence. Look at Montoya getting squeezed out on the outside of turn 4. I didn't like the look of that smoke from Jenson Button's BAR on the grid. It was like a black smoke rather than an oil smoke from an overfill. But at the moment, he's running nicely, and I think just taking a position.
Raikkonen leads, Barrichello second, Massa third, Montoya fourth, 5th is Button, 6th Trulli, 7th Takuma Sato, 8th Ralf Schumacher, 9th is Fisichella, and 10th is Zonta. And there's Jenson Button. You can see he's moved up into 3rd place now. He's managed to get himself past Montoya and Felipe Massa.
Well, Massa going well on the Bridgestones. I'm very surprised at Barrichello being so overcautious. Maybe it's because he's only ever finished this race once in 10 attempts. He doesn't want to throw it off on the first lap, of course. But at the moment, the Michelin runners definitely have the more confidence. Let's see if those Bridgestones get up to temperature. Michael up to 12th already. We're on board with him. He had oversteer through the fast corners. That's a scary experience at 180 miles an hour.
Yep, the Jaguar Christian Klein, the one he wants to pass. A bit of a contact there. Schumacher's dived down the inside, but we saw some debris there, Martin. Which car did that come off? Schumacher running wide at turn 1 in his attempt to pass Christian Klein. There he is now, you see, going through your screen now. He's had to give back the place to Klein, but we saw some black car parts flying through the air there.
Alonso, Villeneuve and Coulthard all on the dry tyres, 15th, 16th and 17th. They haven't actually, they're just going towards the end of the first sector now. Very, very slow on those dry tyres. And Raikkonen got away very well, look, behind Barrichello. Montoya having to get very, very wide. Michael Schumacher right at the back, right-hand corner of the grid there, getting squeezed up against the pit wall. But he seems to have a lot of confidence. There's a Renault in the middle there struggling to turn in of Villeneuve, and the two Jaguars hustling him through the corner. And this then is Raikkonen with a brilliant drive out of turn 3. Takes the right line. We got car 7 is off track, I'm seeing, as we're seeing a replay of Raikkonen comfortably taking the lead of the Grand Prix. And look, this is why car 7 is off the track. And is that 7? In terms
no,
of,
7's Villeneuve. He's gone straight on at turn 1. That's Fisichella. That happened at the very early part of the Grand Prix. We're working on lap 3. You can see the order. Raikkonen, dramatic pass at the opening lap. Look at this though. Down the inside goes to BAR. Jenson Button and Felipe Massa having a terrific scrap there. Massa had passed Button and so had Montoya on that lap. We're now riding on board with Felipe Massa. Button has got himself back in front of him, and now Massa attacking again on the run down towards late descent. Michael Schumacher has spun. It's all going off here at Interlagos on lap 3. Tremendous action, and this is what you get when a drizzly condition happens on the racetrack. That's what happened to Michael Schumacher. Again involved with Christian Klien. No contact. There's a back end just swinging round.
Yeah, so Michael just touching the white line on the inside sometimes pulls the car around, and this is where he spun in turn 2. He's been pushing very hard in there, and when it goes wrong for Michael, like back in China, it all goes wrong, doesn't it? Raikkonen led by 0.8 of a second from Barrichello. Montoya is 3rd, and look at that, right behind the Ferrari. Massa remains 4th. Button has a problem. That smoke on the grid looks like it could be terminal. They're clearing a space in the garage for Jenson Button. Disaster.
Yeah, that's a real shame for him. There you can see now Barrichello is lining up Kimi Raikkonen. This is the favourite passing place here at Interlagos. He's right up in his draft. He comes down the inside. Barrichello for the lead in Brazil. Yes, he makes it stick.
Here is a replay. The perfect slipstream came out actually quite late. Vortices turning and boiling off the back wing of that Ferrari as it pushes it into the ground, and he's got tremendous braking capacity when he gets there, and that, I fear, is Jenson Button.
Well, I told you they were going to turn the wick up this afternoon. It has not worked, but they didn't have anything to lose, really. They're pretty sure that Renault are not going to score 16 points, is what they need to do to overtake them for second. There you can see the smoke, which we saw on the dummy grid, is, well, it's terminal once again for Honda, but what a tremendous season they and Jenson Button have had. 10 podiums this year. He continued on past the pits, as you could see. He wanted to keep racing because he has proved this year he is a true racer. Fastest man on the track at the moment, though, Martin, is one Pablo Montoya. As you can see, he's closed right up behind Kimi Raikkonen. That last lap for Montoya, a good half second quicker than the two men in front of him. Felipe Massa, interestingly as well, is keeping pace. We believe he's running a lighter fuel load than the others, but he's got a lot of straight line speed in that Sauber.
Yeah, and these Bridgestone Inters are now delivering the kind of pace we're expecting. Ralf Schumacher is pitting. I suspect that is for dry tyres. This is Coulthard and Villeneuve fighting over last place. They're on dry Michelin tyres, and it's not working out for them. Alonso, though, on dry Michelins, now the fastest man on the track by 2.6 seconds. The track is changing corner by corner, and the Michelin's really coming on strong if you're on dries. I suspect we'll have to see Raikkonen pit at the end of this lap. This is where the Bridgestone Inters can go. That window is wider. They can go a little bit further.
It's not looking too bad then for Alonso. He's on the right tyres. He's 15th in this race at the moment, but 22 seconds down on the race leader. But you need around about 21 or 22 seconds to make a stop here. So he's going to pass a lot of people in front of him who have to make pit stops. It's going to get very busy indeed in the pit lane in a minute, and Ted Kravitz is down there.
That Renault time was the trigger for all of them. They're now coming out for Juan Montoya. McLaren are out. BAR also out for Takuma Sato. The ones who aren't, of course, who can go the longest are Ferrari. But how long before Rubens Barrichello has to put on slicks?
Indeed, as we said, now you've got then Barrichello first, Massa, a Brazilian 1-2, and the crowd are surely going crazy as we see Raikkonen, Montoya in the McLaren, and the Williams, Sato into, as is truly in the Toyota, who was running 7th.
Christian Klien is 5th for Jaguar. He's on Michelin tyres. He has not stopped. Neither is his Jaguar teammate, Mark Webber. They're going for a little bit of glory, side by side, down the pit lane. It looks to me like a Montoya-Raikkonen battle, that one, Martin.
Well, they're going to be
very close. Here's Michael Schumacher. He's gone for dry tyres as well. That little gamble of putting heavy fuel in his car for qualifying yesterday didn't work. And, well, what can Schumacher do from here? He's going to be well back.
Barrichello pits. Massa is in the lead for Sauber.
Absolutely extraordinary here at Interlagos. There is the former race leader, Rubens Barrichello. Felipe Massa, in only his 34th Grand Prix, the 23-year-old Brazilian, is leading here at Sao Paulo.
Massa's made a mistake going round, though. He's leading for a lap, and that's good glory. But Alonso is now just 11.5 seconds behind him, lapping 4 seconds a lap faster, and he's going to have to pit stop. I think it might just be done in a fuel window, James, for him. Will minimise the damage. He was expected in sometime around lap 10 or 11. This is lap 7 that they're on. But Alonso, the man on the move, now up to 3rd place. Second, actually.
Massa, there he is, still the race leader. Is he going to pit this time? Yes, he is. He dives down to the left. His lap of glory was a sweet memory for him, but the man you've got to watch out for here is Fernando Alonso, because I believe he is leading this Grand Prix now. Rubens Barrichello having made a pit stop.
Yeah, that's how Alonso moved up to second. Now, as you say, he's moved up to first. He's lapping in a 1:15.6. Those on the intermediates are doing sort of 22s and 1:23s. So Alonso leads from Montoya. Raikkonen, Heidfeld in the Jordan is up into P5 at the moment. Ralf Schumacher 6th, he has stopped. Fisichella 7th, Sato 8th. Barrichello came out and is showing his 9th. Villeneuve started on dry tyres up to 10th. Him and Coulthard now lapping nicely.
Tremendous scrap going down the straight there. Takuma Sato involved in that. Fisichella, Barrichello. There he is in the Ferrari. So it's all chopping and changing here at Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is lap 8, and Fernando Alonso has taken a gamble on the dry tyres in the Renault at the start of this Grand Prix, and it's starting to look as though that Renault is looking pretty handy here. Very nearly a collision there in all that melee in the pit lane. You saw one of the Jordans coming out almost colliding with another car. Fernando Alonso is leading ahead of Juan Montoya and Kimi Raikkonen, but look at this. Michael Schumacher trying to get alongside David Coulthard. Coulthard going to resist him, no?
He squeezes him up the curb on the inside. We know that Michael took some wing off because he had to take a 10-place drop on the grid. He had more speed down the back. Coulthard saying, "You're not coming past me, mate." 100% of people think that DC is out of Formula 1 next year. Cawthorn, myself, and Coulthard himself are absolutely sure we're going to find something for him, and he's racing pretty feistily today. They're fighting over 8th place at the moment. Alonso on a 1:12.9, a new lap record. He's absolutely flying. You're just watching a replay of Montoya and Raikkonen braving it out down the pit lane.
Jensen, as James has just been saying, Honda said they were going to turn the wick up for this race. Looks like they turned it up a bit too high.
As far as I know, there's no different to the last race. It's very disappointing, you know, to have something happen before you've even started the race. You know, I had a fire on the grid, and I thought as soon as I got going, I'd be able to put it out, but we sat there for so long, I think it's destroyed some of the electrics, because the engine was down on power for the 3 laps that I completed, which is a real pity, because, you know, the car was working well, and I was able to get up to 3rd place while the other guys were napping, and it could have been a very interesting result, I think.
Coulthard pits then for what I would imagine is his first scheduled stop of the afternoon. Ted is down there.
Good stop so far by the McLaren boys. Coulthard was in a brilliant battle with Jacques Villeneuve. He was much quicker than Villeneuve in the middle sector. An earlier stop there than Renault. Let's see if DC can put the hammer down, try to pass Villeneuve in the stops.
Very emotional moment this morning when Coulthard was given a presentation by his mechanics, and a lot of them broke into tears, including DC himself. Highly charged emotion for this final race for McLaren.
Into the pits, though, comes the race leader, Fernando Alonso. This is lap 18. Remember, he started on dry tyres. This is his first pit stop of the afternoon, so he was carrying a reasonable amount of fuel in qualifying yesterday, and he's looking pretty good at the moment. Montoya responds immediately by setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, a 1:12.2. He will take over the lead as a 2-stop fuel load goes into Alonso's car.
You'd have to say this is working out better in terms of strategy unfolding, James, for Alonso at this time. But as you say, Montoya, who now leads the Grand Prix, extremely fast. He's pulled out a gap of about 3 seconds over Raikkonen, and third place man at the moment then will be the sister Williams of Ralf Schumacher.
Lap 22 of this 71-lap Brazilian Grand Prix, final race of the season. The man in form at the moment is very much Juan Montoya. He's leading this race by 4 seconds now from his teammate for next year, Kimi Raikkonen. Ralf Schumacher in the Williams is third. Got a speed differential there. Montoya, he is really charging here. This is great to see. You can see why McLaren wanted him. They said yesterday, Ron Dennis said, we believe we can get so much more out of Juan Montoya than the Williams have managed to do. He's put a bit of weight on this season. He's had an up and down year. We believe we can really do something with this guy. He is a sensational driver, wonderful car control and so aggressive. And we're seeing all of that here this afternoon. Takuma Sato is fourth. Fifth, the fastest man on the track at the moment, Rubens Barrichello, a 1:11.986 on that last lap. Mesmerising pace from him, but he is 17.5 seconds down on the race leader. Alonso is sixth, having led for much of the early phase. He took the gamble to start this race on dry tyres. It certainly seemed to work for him early on, and he's doing really well. And Michael Schumacher, who started 18th on the grid, has now worked his way up into 7th place. Mark Webber, oh no! A sad end to his career with the Jaguar team. He's knocked the front wing off, presumably trying to pass. Oh no! That's just what they didn't need. What a sorry way to end Jaguar's adventure in Formula One, and it's not been a successful adventure by any stretch of the imagination, and that is as bad as it gets, hitting your own teammate.
Yeah, Mark will be extremely sad about that. Not as sad, I imagine, as the bosses of the team. I was talking to Dave Pitchfork and Tony Purnell. They said, oh, just for the boys have kept their chin up. They've been so brilliant. We want the cars to finish, and well, that is the worst case scenario.
Well, Ted's down in the Jaguar garage. It must be a pretty sorry atmosphere there, I'd imagine.
Oh, it's terrible. The arms went up, shaking their heads. They cannot believe it. Furious scenes on the pit wall. They're actually coming out into the box to see if Mark can make it back. In fact, Christian Klein is also coming back. See if they can get him back out in the race, salvage some kind of result from this sorry Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, Mark, you wouldn't have seen it, Ted, as you were hunting down the Jaguar people. Mark out of the car and on the side of the racetrack. Klein, as you say, in the pits for a new nose. And, well, Mark's done a brilliant job for the Jaguar team. I have to say, that's the last thing I thought he'd do.
Yeah, really, really strange. But there we are. I don't think he's got an awful lot of time for Christian Klein. Doesn't have a huge amount of respect for him, possibly. And I think he was trying to press on a little bit. Who knows? We're looking, though, back from the car of Fernando Alonso. That's Michael Schumacher, 7 times world champion. And he started down in 18th place this afternoon. He has got himself up into 7th, and he really would like very much to get past this Renault Fernando Alonso, who's carrying quite a lot of fuel at this stage of the Grand Prix. Look how the Ferrari engine allows him to get closer. Then the bite point of those brakes on the Renault means it stops. Schumacher has to react and stop as well. He's adjusting all the time the brake bias in the cockpit of that car. He's working really, really hard, Michael Schumacher, to try and make something of this afternoon. This is lap 26. Montoya is still leading, and we've got a Minardi in the pits. That's Zolt Baumgartner making his 2nd stop of the afternoon. Whoa! Very close exit for Montoya, right up behind Ricardo Zonta, another Brazilian driver in this field.
Ralf Schumacher pits then in the Williams from what was 3rd place. And it's going to take some keeping hold of this strategy this afternoon with all of the different tyre change points. For example, Michael Schumacher pitted on lap 5 and took 6 seconds worth of fuel. Alonso pitted on lap 18 and took 9 seconds worth of fuel, but they're running line astern on the racetrack. It's going to unfold completely differently to how it looks at the moment. Sato and Barrichello pit then at the end of lap 27.
From 3rd and 4th places respectively. There's Barrichello, was 4th. Is he going to get ahead of Sato? Well, Sato's just pulling out down the pit lane. Barrichello was behind him, so he will not have got out in front of Takuma Sato. Here, the Ferrari pit box, the first one in sequence here in Brazil, and VAR being about 150 metres further down the pit lane. Montoya then on lap 28, just set the fastest first sector of anybody in the Grand Prix so far. We have, and the second sector as well. We've got a yellow flag out on track. You're not, ideally placed to go too quick with the yellow flags out, but Montoya, that's why he was going quick. He's coming into the pits.
So really the first scheduled stop of the afternoon, and it's not driven by being on the wrong tyres, and Ted is down there as ever.
Williams tell me that he's been having trouble seeing. The inside of his visor, Martin, has missed it up. It's just started to spit again with rain, so they've been trying to get a cloth in there to wipe the inside of his visor, but a decent stop for Montoya.
Yes, and it tends to mist up even more. You're sweating heavily inside the car, and as soon as you stop the airflow coming through, it gets worse and worse. This is the fight I was telling you about. 11th and 12th, Villeneuve and Coulthard. Now back down into the 12s again. I think they just came across some traffic.
Yeah, they're good friends, these two. David Coulthard very happy to see Jacques Villeneuve back in Formula One. They put their motorhomes next to each other at European races. Michael Schumacher pits from 5th place. Kimi Raikkonen is the new race leader because of that stop for Montoya just a moment ago. Kimi Raikkonen leading, the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa, trying to make it 2 victories in the season to give McLaren something to smile about going into the winter break after such a difficult start to the season. There's Jarno Trulli in the Toyota. He really has made a difference since he came across with the last 3 Grand Prix of the season. Very quick qualifying lap yesterday, and you can tell already that the team are just more up on the balls of their feet. They know they've got a really quick racing driver now, and when Ralf Schumacher joins next season, well, they really are hoping to move forward. There's the race leader then, into the pits on lap 30, Kimi Raikkonen.
Montoya, meanwhile, just left the pits and done the fastest middle sector on his out lap. He's on it. And we saw Montoya look like his clutch was just about trying to bite as he was leaving his stop. Raikkonen had no such problems as we watched him go away.
We're riding on board with Rubens Barrichello, who is some distance now behind Takuma Sato, and if you think that looks like a few spots of rain on the camera lens, you would be right, because it's just started drizzling again here in Sao Paulo. We started this race with that. Look, Sato's made a mistake. He's run wide on the greasy track, and that's a gift, yet another gift for Rubens Barrichello. He is through into 5th place, and well, as I was just about to say, we started this Grand Prix with heavy drizzle. It then dried out very quickly. The track went bone dry, and the Michelin runners look to have the upper hand. Montoya, Raikkonen, Alonso, Ralf Schumacher, but now it's starting to drizzle again, and the picture will change once more. It's not really affecting the lap times too much at the moment, although actually Juan Montoya on the first sector had a bit of a messy first sector and a bit of a messy second sector. This has not been a good lap for Montoya. He's given away a lot of time here. The rest of them, though, don't seem to have lost too much time.
No, Montoya was on the traction control for about 100 metres out of that slow corner. I think that demonstrates just how tacky it's getting out there, how slippery. It's a 1:15.8. It's 3 seconds slower than he went the lap before, to give you an idea of how slippery it's getting. It's Coulthard coming in this time.
Probably his final pit stop, final service from the McLaren crew. They've looked after him very well over the years. They've won 12 races together. They love him. Sad to see him go in every sense. Coulthard accelerates down the pit lane for the final segment of his career with McLaren.
Yes, that looked like enough fuel, didn't it, to get him the final 28-29 laps. Montoya's lead down to 4.8 seconds now. Raikkonen nibbling away at that. Alonso still hanging on, still lapping quickly in 3rd. It's shaping up for a great final run in, isn't it, to the checkered flag.
Jarno Trulli then, he'll be staying with Toyota next year. He makes his 3rd stop of the afternoon.
We had to report, because it was the case, of just how much slower Villeneuve was than Alonso in the Japanese and Chinese Grand Prix. It is not the case today. He's been matching Alonso's pace all the way through the Grand Prix, and often a tenth or two faster. We hear that the Jaguar team are preparing for their final stop of the afternoon, their final stop for a while. Never say never that they'll be back in Formula One, but at the moment, of course, the Jaguar name is going to disappear. The man I was just talking about, Villeneuve, in the pits then for his final stop of the afternoon. And of course, his final stop for Renault as well, I'd imagine. He's off to Sauber next year.
Yeah, he's doing a good job today, Jacques Villeneuve. Came in for a bit of heat for his performances in China and Japan. Japan wasn't really his fault. It was such an extraordinary weekend with such heavy rain on Friday, and then the typhoon threat, which cancelled all the action on Saturday. He really had no time whatsoever to set the car up. So it wasn't really his fault. But here this weekend at Interlagos, he's done a very good job. He's just made a pit stop. Alonso, his teammate, is coming into the pits in the sister Renault. He was 5th. Villeneuve pitted from 8th place.
Those metal strips, you saw him running over there to earth the car out to make sure there are no sparks to set fire to the refueling rig. And they just pop up in the air. Of course, carbon is a good conductor. Montoya leads Raikkonen by 5.1 seconds. They're just trading tenths here and there. Ralf Schumacher's 20 seconds behind his teammate now in 3rd place. Yeah,
Ralf was very impressive as well in Japan 2 weeks ago. Really very, very good indeed, chasing down his brother Michael. And if you look at the lap times for Ralf Schumacher, they were absolutely sensational. Williams then qualifying for the last 2 Grand Prix of the season on the front row of the grid, leading here in Brazil, having finished 2nd with Ralf Schumacher in Japan. You have to say it's been a strong end to the season for the BMW Williams team. I think what happened last year is they were very quick, and I think they underestimated how much of that speed was the Michelin tyre and how much of it was their car. So into the winter they didn't make as much progress as they should have done or hoped to do. Started the season with not a very good car by their own admission. Sam Michael, the technical director, has admitted it. They made some very bad choices on the aerodynamics and the design. There's Ralf Schumacher pitting from 4th place, but they went away to think about it, and the second half of this year, as Ralf tries to go a little bit early, second half of this year, this car has got better and better, and Ted Kravitz is down in the pits.
That was very unfortunate for Ralf Schumacher. He tried to go too early, the fuel hose was still on, and he's of course in this battle with Fernando Alonso. Let's wait to see if he's managed to get past him, although I think that mistake will scupper it.
Okay, Ted, thanks for that. We didn't quite catch that on the screen. So when is Montoya coming in? Quite clearly now. They can all get by with just one more stop. Ralph's made his 3rd stop of the afternoon, as has David. Well, David Coulthard's only 2 stopping today, but Montoya sets a new lap record. He's getting very close to that pit stop, a 1:11.473. That's 3.4 seconds under the record.
He's also getting very, very close to the limit of this car. Did you see how the front of it just jagged about into turn 1? He's absolutely flying. They call him the monster. He is totally monstering this car, the place where he started to make his name in Formula 1, a dramatic pass on Michael Schumacher in 2001. Here's Rubens Barrichello, started the day from pole, looking for the home victory. He was 3rd before he made that pit stop. Doesn't look as though it's going to happen for Rubens Barrichello this afternoon. He's fueled to the finish. It's really between Montoya and Raikkonen, I think, for who can win this Grand Prix. Both super aggressive racers. And, well, we're heading, I think, for a very exciting conclusion to this final race of the championship. On board with Montoya, up the hill, pulling up to about 185 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour, the pit entrance on our left. We dive down it, cut the speed, 100 kilometers an hour, down, up over the rise, set the speed limiter. You look at his thumb on the button, making sure he doesn't speed in the pit lane, into the box. Mechanics go to work. Tyres off. Fuel going in behind us, like clockwork for the Williams team. They desperately want their first win of 2004, and that is a well-oiled Grand Prix outfit.
It is indeed. Well, we've got a South American looking like he's going to win this Grand Prix. It's not the South American that the fans wanted, though, is it? They want Barrichello, and they want Massa doing the job out there, but Montoya is the fastest thing that we've seen so far on an outright lap, and of course the Grand Prix so far. The 3rd Brazilian in the Grand Prix then, Zonta. Michael Schumacher pits from what was 4th place.
So Kimi Raikkonen leading the Grand Prix. Schumacher for the final time this season. The championship wrapped up long ago. 1 or 2 mistakes in the closing stages of this season, which he will certainly go away and think about. You always, as a racing driver, Martin, I imagine, want to end the season as strongly as you possibly can to give yourself a confidence boost going into the winter. Kimi Raikkonen pitted before, 1 lap after Montoya last time round. This time he's going a little bit longer on the fuel, which is going to be interesting. So does he have enough fuel in this car to put in a few quick laps and try and vault Montoya at his own final pit stop, I wonder? If Raikkonen can do 2, 3, 4 laps, he might have half a chance, and you can see, oh dear, the, well, not quite so well oiled there for the Minardi team, walking away, because it can be very painful if you get pulled over by one of those fuel hoses, as Ferrari's Nigel Stepney will tell you. He broke his foot in an incident just like that a few years ago. Raikkonen is still pushing very, very hard indeed. He's got 18.8 seconds advantage over Juan Montoya. His last lap was competitive. Montoya's, again, was over a second slower.
And now is this, yeah, Ralf outbraked. This is how Alonso got back past Ralf Schumacher. Schumacher took it on the pit stops, then outbraked himself into turn one. Alonso nipping nicely around the inside.
There goes Kimi Raikkonen. How much longer is he going to stay out? He's certainly trying very hard. That last lap he's just gone through, about 0.6 slower than the one before for him, but nevertheless keeping the pressure up on Juan Montoya. He's taken it out to over 19 seconds now, the margin.
Yeah, so what's he done? He had a 5-second deficit, didn't he? He must have got 3 of those already as Sato pits out of 3rd place in the BAR Honda. Raikkonen doing everything he can. Is it enough? It's going to be all... Of course, he'll need a slightly less fuel than Montoya. He's gone further. He needs less fuel to get to the end. They'll have less time with the nozzle on. But we're talking tenths as Sato rejoins.
He's going to need about 20, 21 seconds. He's very, very close here, Kimi Raikkonen. Montoya needs to up the pace a little bit. He took half a second out of him on that last lap.
McLaren out, James. I'm looking out of the window. McLaren out. We know Coulthard stopped. Raikkonen takes the tight line into the pits, and that is scary. It made me draw breath when Montoya went through there flat out with the end of the pit wall steering out. I thought Montoya attacked that line harder than that, Ted.
McLaren need a brilliant pit stop, and I'm not sure that it's going to be enough. The tyres are on, the fuel hose is on, no problem. It comes up. That's a very quick pit stop.
So it could decide the outcome of this Grand Prix as Raikkonen gets back up to speed. The question is, where is Juan Montoya? We're looking at a different battle. The race director has not understood what's going on here. Juan Montoya is out on track somewhere. Kimi Raikkonen has rejoined. And, well, if he's not ahead of Juan Montoya, the two will be very, very close together on the racetrack. That's for absolutely sure. And they'll be duking it out for the last 16 laps. We're being told that Montoya is ahead. We haven't seen it yet on the TV pictures. We're being told that, though.
Yeah, Montoya cut the end of the first sector timing beam before Raikkonen did. So I'd be pretty confident, actually, by about a couple of seconds, Raikkonen couldn't quite make the difference. We're on board with Michael Schumacher chasing down his brother, who's also very close behind Sato. This is what we were expecting as we move towards the final laps of the Grand Prix. Michael just steadily building pace all the way through.
So there you go. That is the confirmation that the race is now led by Juan Montoya. Raikkonen stayed out to try and get the lead. It wasn't quite enough, but you can see he cut that 5-second margin down considerably by that McLaren strategy that nearly did it for him, but he perhaps needed another lap, possibly 2, to make it stick. It's all set for a fantastic conclusion here as they come through to complete another lap. We're riding on board with Ralf Schumacher. And, well, there's a DVD coming out this Christmas of 50 years of onboard cameras, certainly Bernie Ecclestone's organisation pioneering the technology. Some wonderful stuff there from Fangio through to the present day, and some of the best parts of Grand Prix racing are this onboard footage. We're now riding on board with Michael Schumacher. That's his brother ahead, probably about 6 or 7 car lengths, but he just doesn't seem to be out close enough to him under braking, does he, Martin?
No, he's not got the car underneath him to really have. He's not got the grip and confidence. And then as soon as he gets in the turbulent air, that's been worked so hard as it passes over and under the surfaces of that BMW Williams, and that's what happens. Michael just gets a little snake, has to stay off the throttle a fraction longer, and because the acceleration of these cars is so incredible, mind-blowing, that even a half-tenth waiting for the car to settle down, you watch the car in front of you like a concertina just disappear.
Sato looks a bit closer to the back of Alonso than he has for some time through the Junção corner. You can see picking up the speed. That's the BAR Honda, the sole remaining BAR Honda in this Grand Prix, because teammate Jenson Button was the first man to retire from the race with an electrical problem. We saw smoke pouring out of his engine. Sato having a bit of a look there. He left it very, very late into turn 1. He didn't make it stick, but he got very close to Fernando Alonso.
Alonso's doing a sterling job. He hasn't got the fastest car, I don't think, of those 4. But somehow, well, he hasn't on that lap. He's losing tenths every lap, but still maintaining position. And look, this is for the lead then. It's down to 0.8 last time around. What is it over the line this time? it is 0.6. So Raikkonen did have a little something else, just snatching the left front on the way into turn one. No problem at all. It's the unloaded wheel and really not doing too much work at that stage, which is why it locked. And they're beginning now to catch Villeneuve, who's 10th. He's about to be lapped.
Well, Ron Dennis, the boss of the McLaren team for whom Kimi Raikkonen drives, saying that he's already started talking to Montoya about next season, about what he likes, about how to get the best out of him, human conditioning, human performance, all of those things. But for sure, one of the best ways of getting something out of a racing driver is by having an extremely fast and aggressive teammate. Raikkonen will be that man next year, and these two are undoubtedly going to be driving each other on to greater and greater heights. And that will, of course, push McLaren closer and closer to Ferrari. But Raikkonen makes a mistake there.
Way too high in Bica de Pato, the corner that is so tricky. It's so dirty on the outside. You have to drive across the grass on the inside almost to give yourself a chance of keeping the nose where you want it. And look how that has affected the gap.
Into the very closing stages then of this Grand Prix. Just 2 laps of this track, just over 5 miles then, in which Kimi Raikkonen can try and take the victory in the final Grand Prix of 2004, but Montoya looks to have it all covered at the moment.
Yeah, Raikkonen made another mistake. I think he's getting tired, made another mistake turning in at one there, just went in a little bit too deep. He's pushed it so hard, and Montoya has had, look at him, also leaning over through the corners. The neck gone. They've really put so much energy into those cars today.
The pace has been absolutely extraordinary. We're in the closing stages here of 71 laps, and they're lapping into high 1:11s, well and truly inside the lap record pace of previous years. They're going so incredibly fast, and it takes it out very much on the drivers. Montoya just resting his head, just trying to get through this final 4 or 5 miles, but his performance, his strength, and his desire to win here this afternoon has been the telling factor. Raikkonen and McLaren tried something different on the strategy. They left him out a little bit longer to try and do something after the final pit stop, but it didn't quite work out, and Montoya has reacted superbly well. Ted, what can you tell us?
Big tension down here at McLaren. They're loving this, seeing both their drivers who are going to be working for them next year, fighting tooth and nail. And while you're down here, you've got to say, James, big credit to all these mechanics in this pit lane. It's been such a long season. They've worked so hard.
Thank you for that, Ted. Now, Montoya looks like he's going to avenge the race he lost when he tripped over the back of Jos Verstappen here. And back in 2001, looks like it's going to come right for him this time. Raikkonen, of course, does not have an answer from that far back. 1.3 seconds adrift. Alonso, Ralf Schumacher has passed Sato. Ralf Schumacher's passed the BAR in the last lap. Michael Schumacher remains 7th.
So Montoya, just a few corners to go then to get his first victory of the 2004 championship. It's all foot to the floor and just drive for the line. He's got a back marker in his way as he comes out of the Junckau corner. He will negotiate him safely. It's the Minardi of Zolt Baumgartner. He dives down the inside of him, and Juan Montoya is already punching the air. The Colombian contingent love this because Montoya wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. What a dramatic race. Just ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, the winning margin exactly 1 second after almost 200 miles of racing. Juan Montoya wins. Barrichello is going to be in 3rd place, a distant 3rd, and you can see the joy for Montoya on the radio to his team. His last Grand Prix for the BMW Williams squad. What better way to finish off a 4-year relationship than with a win, and especially an unexpected one like this. But qualified front row of the grid, and he's translated that into a victory. Here comes the battle, though, for 4th place. The top 4, the big 4, Alonso, Ralf Schumacher, Sato, and Michael Schumacher. They're going to cross the line with Ralf Schumacher ahead of Sato. As you can see, the pass made just a lap ago, and they take the final points positions with Michael Schumacher 7th, Massa in 8th place. But the winner here in Sao Paulo, a very, very happy Juan Montoya.
3 of the 5 winners in F1 2004 on the podium in Brazil. Montoya, Raikkonen and Barrichello. The only absentees, Trulli and Michael Schumacher. We've got Mark Blundell's analysis, and we'll talk to the drivers when you rejoin us in Sao Paulo. And hello once again from Interlagos. A South American has won the Brazilian Grand Prix, but not the one the vast majority of the sellout crowd wanted. It is the bruiser from Bogota, Juan Pablo Montoya. Kimi Raikkonen pushing him all the way. Barrichello can't win at home, but it's his first podium here and his 14th of the season. Alonso, 4th. Committed drive that from the Spaniard. Ralf Schumacher getting ahead of Takuma Sato. Michael Schumacher never in contention, 7th. Massa, the 2nd Brazilian scorer. Montoya, though, delivering Williams a lovely farewell present.
Well done, Juan Pablo. Great result. It's been a while since you stood up there on the top step, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while, and you know, I think it's great to finish. You know, my Williams chapter with a win. I think everybody worked really hard for this. I was joking with the guys, you know, about the revs before the race. You know, I'm not gonna put attention to you, la 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 la. And it was, you know, it was good fun. It was great atmosphere, and I'm very pleased that I could give them a win before finishing with, you know, the job with them.
Kimi, that was a tough-fought race.
Yeah, but not completely happy because we couldn't win today, but at least we finished second, and it's a good way to finish the season.
A podium finish, and you passed 2 people in the last stint, which was good. Try again next year, eh?
I fought all the way through. I can leave the circuit with my head pointing the sky. I think this weekend we've done a very good job. It is a bit disappointing not to have won the race, but you know, as I said yesterday, if we deserved to win, we would, and today we didn't because the situation was too difficult.
13 victories mean the best ever season for Michael Schumacher. Incredible. He's won 72% of the races. Then Barrichello, the ultimate team man. Button, best of the rest. Alonso just ahead of Montoya, thanks to his 4th place today. Trulli just a point ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. The Finn scored twice that amount last season, and Sato has given us great excitement all year. In the constructors, Ferrari improving by 104 on last year's total. BAR runners-up, well done to them. Renault, well, they are set for a big charge next year. 14 points for Williams mean they maintain that gap back to McLaren. Sauber, a clear 6th. Jaguar going out of business, it would appear, but still finishing in front of Toyota. Jordan and Minardi both insist they will be there on the grid in Melbourne next spring. Leaden skies here now, Mark. It was drizzling at the start of the race as well, and a lot went on in those opening laps.
They did indeed. There were some decisions to be made for the drivers and the teams as they headed off into turn 1 here, Jim. Clean start for Barrichello. Raikkonen also getting away. Montoya, a little bit of a struggle there as he got into 1. He nearly got overtaken. Just actually gets tucked under by Alonso underneath him, but this is the move what comes up. Raikkonen gets some grip, gets a little bit of traction, driving down into that straight there, and goes underneath Rubens Barrichello. He then blasted off into the distance, pulled out a 3 or 4 second lead. Quite impressive.
Barrichello was so full of adrenaline, wasn't he? A big twitch there. He was determined to get Raikkonen back, and it looked good for him when he went past the Finn.
It did indeed, and I think he just needed to get a bit of heat into those Bridgestone tyres. The other guys up the front on the Michelins, watch him here, just comes underneath Raikkonen into turn 1, a very clean textbook move, no problem whatsoever. And at this point, Rubens then gets the hammer down, and again he pulls out 2 or 3 seconds quite instantly.
Yeah, the crowd celebrating, but they couldn't celebrate a win for him once again. Now, you've been in cars, you know when you smell smoke before the start, it's not going to be your day, and that's what happened to Jenson Button.
Yeah, unfortunate for Jenson Button and the BAR team. I think they were really looking forward to a great result. You can see the smoke pluming out the back here. It seems to be that there was an electrical failure of some sort on the grid. You had a small fire, and later, during those opening laps, it just caught him out.
Disappointing end to the season for Jenson, but he's had a great time, really. He really has made his mark on this sport.
He's had a fantastic season. You know, he's contributed most of the points of the BAR team to get to that 2nd in the Constructors' title, and this partnership now will go on as we know into the future. There's a lot more to come.
I think we were all hoping for a good race from Jaguar's point of view, and, well, look away now if you like those Jags. This is horrible viewing.
Well, Mark Webber there, too enthusiastic for me. He just tried to go underneath his teammate, going into turn 1 again. Just didn't have the room. Christian Klein getting mixed up with him. Webber's nose comes off, goes underneath the front of the car. He was sat basically for the whole Grand Prix, Jim, on that bank there, just watching the race. And I think he really felt an emotional side come out. He didn't know what to go back and say to those guys.
Absolutely. Very soon he will be testing in the BMW Williams, of course. Tremendous race, just 1 second at the end, splitting 1st and 2nd place, and a real good scrap between Raikkonen and Juan Pablo Montoya, the winner.
Well, those guys are the new blood of Formula One, and I think they're going to be very impressive as we go on into 2005, because don't forget, these are the 2 people who are going to be teamed up at McLaren. This is all about psychology, and Montoya is the guy who's going to end up with that 1 point going across into the winter. Raikkonen is pushing as hard as he could. I think he got every single bit out of that McLaren, but on the day, the improved Williams definitely turned it on.
Now then, Mark, Juan Pablo's seat at Williams is vacant. Do you think David Coulthard should fill it?
I would like to see him fill it, and I think Williams need to look at him. 13 Grand Prix wins, 33 years old, experience of McLaren for some 7 or 8 years, and I think also this guy can lead a team.
Good, Mark. Thanks very much indeed for your comments and expertise throughout the season. So Juan Pablo Montoya has the last laugh here in Brazil. We're going to leave you with a rapid musical reminder of some of the events that have made all our hearts beat faster since the lights went out in Melbourne back in March. Thanks for your company. Good night.
The 2004 World Championship begins now! For Schumacher. Michael Schumacher is out of the Monaco Grand Prix. What a tremendous drive by Michael Schumacher.